I was thinking about her too, so don't judge me for it. It's not like I had any choice, or even that I wanted to think about her. But when she was close, as close as a person can be when they are standing beside you on the other side of a thick wall, she seemed more real, more vivid than anything else in the world. When she turned and smiled at me, the sunlight glinting on her teeth and hair, the warmth of her skin seemed to spread through my blood. I think I would have done anything for her. If I could have, I would have gone anywhere, done anything, just to keep her there. The next morning I woke up and found my clothes neatly folded on top of my desk. The bed had been made up and the fire was laid. I couldn't remember having seen anyone enter the room while I was asleep. I opened the door and went to look for her. I had an odd feeling that she might be somewhere nearby. There was no one there. I spent the rest of the day trying to figure out how to get in touch with her. The problem was that I had no way of knowing what name she might be using now or where she might be living, and I didn't dare make any inquiries. Finally, I asked the housekeeper if I might use her room in the main part of the house for the night. She nodded, although with a doubtful look. I said that I was ill and needed some peace and quiet to recover my health, which was true enough. She did not ask why I could not go to a hotel or return to my own lodgings. I stayed there that night, in that big empty room with a fine view of the river. There was a fire, but it did not warm me. There were candles in the tall silver candlesticks, but I was afraid to light them, afraid that they might call attention to my presence. I sat there by the window, watching the river flow past under the stars, waiting for something to happen. And at last, something did. I heard the sound of the front door opening and footsteps coming across the hall. I watched through the half-open door as she walked over to the fireplace and set a fire there. The house was old and dry, so it took her only a few moments before the flames were licking at the logs, bright and hungry. I listened to her moving around the room, sitting down the tray she had brought with her, making the bed. There was a slight click as she locked the door behind her. Then she walked back over to the fireplace and stood looking at me. She was wearing an evening gown, all in black, with a high collar that emphasized the slender column of her neck and a long, trailing train that brushed against the carpet. She must have come straight from a ball, but it did not seem out of place. She looked very young and beautiful, and her face was flushed with excitement and happiness. You came, she whispered, and she reached out to me and touched my cheek. Her fingertips were soft and cold. I knew you would. I'm here, I said, very softly. But how did you know? Because you have to be. Tell me why, I said. Tell me who you are and where we are. She gave me a sad, wistful smile. That is all over now. I am no one. You know me as I once was, but you will never know me again. I know your name, and I want to know yours. Tell me your name. No. I need to know it. You do not want to know it. I do. She shook her head sadly. I am nothing now. Do not let me be nothing, she sighed and turned away from me. Go home to your family, Lord John. She raised her voice a little. Go back to your wife and daughter, and do not let me see you again. She lifted her hands toward me and then turned away, walking quickly back to the fireplace. There she knelt down before the fire, as if it was her only friend in all the world, and held out her hands to the warmth of the flames. I stood there, watching her, thinking about what she had said. But then I felt foolish about it, and angry with myself for feeling foolish. So I went away from that room and went back to my own rooms and lay down on my bed and tried to sleep, but I could not sleep. I did not go back to the housekeeper the following morning. I stayed away for the next few days, spending my time walking through London, looking for some trace of her. There were places where people knew me, places where people had once known me well, and it was like meeting a ghost from my past. There were people who would greet me by name, and then when they realized who I was, they would look at me blankly, unable to place me, and then they would glance at each other and look away, and leave me alone. The housekeeper tried to find me, and sent messages to my rooms, but I refused to see her. The week passed, and then another week, then another week. I did not return to the house in Richmond until nearly 6 months after I had left it. I arrived back late one night, tired and cold and hungry, and drunk, with only the money for a third-class ticket and a handful of coins in my pocket that had not been there when I had left. I staggered up the steps of the house and into the hallway. A young man opened the door of one of the upstairs rooms and stared at me in surprise. He started to speak, but then he saw my face and turned away quickly. I went on up the stairs, feeling my way with my hands, and stumbled along the passageway and went into my rooms. The housekeeper was waiting for me there, standing in the shadows at the foot of the bed. I thought you were dead, she said quietly, when you did not return. I am sorry, I said. I am very sorry. I felt ashamed as if she had discovered some great secret about me that I had kept hidden all this time. I wanted to explain what had happened to me, but I could not find the words. I did not want to say anything that would give her any excuse to be angry with me. I had been stupid and reckless, but so had she. She made a soft noise of distress, and then she went away from me, back toward her own rooms. "You will not return to this house again," she said quietly, without turning round. "No. And you will stay away from your family." "I know. And if I should ever need your help?" "You have my word." She did not look round again. "Then you may go to your rooms and sleep it off," she said. "You will feel better in the morning." I walked slowly across the room to my bed. The sheets were stiff with dried sweat, and the mattress felt hard and lumpy beneath my back. My room was still lit by candles, as it had been when I had left it. I slept fitfully for most of the night, and then rose very early in the morning, before dawn had even broken. I went out into the city. I walked all day without stopping to rest or eat. The housekeeper had said that she would be glad to hear from me, that she would be grateful for anything that I could do to help her. But I did not know what I could do, or how I might help her. Perhaps there was no help to be given. Perhaps it was a matter for the police or the magistrates. But in truth, I did not want to think of her any more. I was sick of the whole business. I would take care of her now, as she had asked me to do, and then I would wash my hands of her. And yet somehow she had brought back my memories of her, and that meant that for all my resolve to forget her, I could not. I had no wish to meet her again, but I had a dread fear that if I did not call at her house today, I might never have a chance to do so again.